Let's talk about change today. Let me give you 3 key dates in our history. 1918, 1929, 1968. What do they have in common? All of those key dates point to big changes, things that we have dealt with. Look at those dates. 1918, major flu pandemic. We had the challenges of dealing with that. So many lives lost. 1929, just the dawn of the Great Depression, where people lost their livelihoods. Major changes going on. 1968, civil unrest. People are out in the streets fighting for what they believe, fighting for justice. It's the same challenges that we're dealing with today. Look at our environment today. Look at our world. What are we dealing with? We have 4, count them, 4 big challenges right now. Just like 1918, what are we dealing with? We're dealing with a major health crisis going on right now. COVID-19 has taken so many lives. Well over 100,000. We're getting closer to 200,000 now. People dead. Look at the situation that's coming from the financial uncertainty. So many people unemployed. 50 million, 70 million. The number grows every week. And then you look at the civil unrest that we're dealing with, just like 1968. People are out in the streets looking at the situation and saying, what can I do? How can I deal with this? I can't bear to see this injustice. My neighbor, my friends, how can I deal with that? But the fourth one that we're dealing with right now, and the challenges that we face, the mental anguish, the pandemic fatigue that we're dealing with right now. All of these challenges compounding one on top of the other from this piece to get to that point where now we're facing these 4 major crises. When it comes to that mental wellness right now, statistics are showing us just in the first few months, 800% growth in reports of mental illness, of mental concerns. Think about that number, 8 times. So as we look at that, it is no wonder that we're dealing with challenges right now. Think about it from ourselves. Our capacity to handle that change is like a sponge. And when we have that sponge inside us, maybe we can deal with one crisis. COVID-19, okay, we pour some water on that sponge. What happens? My sponge is getting pretty full. But then I add on top of that, the financial distress. Am I gonna have a job? Am I gonna be able to have a livelihood with this? And then you pour more even on that. And you say, we're out in the streets fighting for racial justice, for socioeconomic justice. Is it any wonder then that the sponge is so saturated, it just cannot hold anything more, and things start flowing from it? Well, William Bridges, in his book, Transitions, talks about these kind of situations that we're facing. And we look at that and we say, okay, change, like many things in our life, has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. And when we look at that, it is reversed though. The ending comes first, and the beginning goes to the end. So we start off with an ending. We have lost our normal. We have lost the way that we've been doing things. Now that normal is not coming back. We know that. That normal now leaves us with a sense of loss. We mourn our old way of doing things. We mourn that loss deep inside, even while we were complaining that that normal wasn't what we wanted. I didn't want that 2-hour commute. I didn't want to be working this hard and being away from my family, my loved ones. But yet, we still feel sadness. We still feel anger. We feel depression. We feel all of those stages of grief that we've dealt with before. But there is hope, because letting go of the old may be exactly what we needed to do. Letting go of the old gives us an opportunity to keep what we want, focus on what's not changing, and then at the same time, moving forward. Our loved ones are still with us. They're in our heart. We have now the time to spend with them. But then we get into that middle stage now. And in middle stage, it's just like being a diver, a cliff diver. You're looking over the edge, over the precipice, and then you take that leap, and you're in midair. Well, what happens? When you're in midair, you really don't know what to grab onto. There's nothing solid. You're floundering all over the place. I've got nothing to hold on to. And it's not an easy feeling. Humans are not conditioned to operate in that kind of ambiguity. We have a hard time when we don't know what's up, what's down, something to hold on to. Nothing is the way it was. That's not a comfortable feeling for us. But yet, if we embrace that, almost like childlike wonder, like the kids do when it's a game, and we're up in the air and we're flying around and we're the superhero we always wanted to be. But what if, in that moment, we take the risks? What if we weren't afraid? What if we looked at that and said, you know what, it's going to be all right? What would we do differently from that perspective? And then finally, we get to the other side. We land. We're there. Now we can start that new beginning. We can start fresh, because the best way for us to predict the future, that next normal that we want, is guess what? Is to create it. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to be able to create that next normal that we want. What is it that you wanted to keep from before? And what is it that you always wish you could do? Do it. Go forward. When we look at our work here as speakers, we look at that situation and we say, what could we do differently? Can I now reach a different audience because the way I do things has changed? Can I reach more people from this piece? That's something that I want to think about. Now, I will leave you with a certain thought. In the ancient times, my ancestors used to talk about the fact that a man or a woman can never enter the same river twice. Why? Because he or she is not the same person. Neither is the river. The water will flow, and every time it does flow, the river changes. Change is the one constant. Change is something that we can count on. That's not changing. And if it's not changing, let's get better at it. If we can't do anything else but accept the change, let's get better at it. Let's take advantage of the situation now to start moving forward. Let's get really good at it and embrace it and make it work for us. Thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.